Good evening. Welcome to the January 12th regular Rochester Hills City Council meeting. Ms. Wisburn, will you take roll?
President Carlock?
Here.
Vice President Mangioli?
Here.
Mr. Blair? Mr. Lindberg?
Here.
Ms. Menino? Ms. Neubauer?
Here.
Mr. Skelsey?
Here.
President Carlock, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And if everybody will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Approval of agenda. I have not been made aware of any changes to the agenda. I have a motion by Councilwoman Neubauer, seconded by Ms. Vice President Mangioli. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have an agenda for tonight. Next up, Council and Youth Committee reports. We will start with Ms. Joshi, our Rochester Hills Government Youth Council representative.
Good evening, President Carlock, Vice President Mangioli, Mayor Barnett, council members, and citizens of Rochester Hills. My name is Sasha Joshi, and I'm an 11th grader at Rochester Adams High School. I have served on the Rochester Hills Government Youth Council for the past 2 years, and I serve on the Historic Districts Commission. This past month, Youth Council has been working very hard to prepare for our upcoming Super Bowl community event. This event is centered around service and giving back, as it will function as a can drive benefiting the neighborhood house. We have been working in our committees to put together a fun-filled day, including food, games, and prizes. The event will take place from 1 to 3 p.m. on Saturday, January 1st at the Rochester Hills Public Library in the multipurpose room. Looking ahead, Youth Council is also excited to begin preparations for our annual cultural fair in April. Our next regular meeting will be Wednesday, February 4th, 2026 at the Rochester Hills Resiliency Center. Thank you for your time and have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Joshi. Next up, Vice President Mangioli.
Thank you very much, President Carlock. Ms. Wisburn, can you share my screen, please? So I brought up Plow Tracker, and of course, all the vehicles are in right now, but I did want to make sure I sent my thanks to the DPS team because they have done so much over the last several weeks as far as plowing our streets, making them clear and safe for all of us to get around our community in. So thank you very much, Ms. Belant. If you can share my thanks to the DPS team, I really appreciate it. I know I post this out on my Facebook page, and I get comments from residents all the time, understanding what's going on. But I will say, there was one time, and I'm not getting it to move fast enough right now, but I was like, why are all of did they have an accident? Because they were all down the corner, and realized they were all at DPS. They weren't just out plowing the streets. It was off hours. So if you see the trucks, you can watch them. There's a legend that shows you the plow truck or the pickup trucks. This way also for residents, you'll know if that plow truck is coming anywhere near you. So you want to wait to clear the end of your driveway until after they go past. And there's always that suggestion to clear about 5 feet to the left side of your driveway as you're exiting, or right side as you're looking at it from the mailbox. Clear that out, so this way when they push the snow, they're not pushing quite as much into your driveway as they come past. So thank you, Ms. Wisburn. The other thing, and I'm sure the mayor is going to arrange for us to see the Rochester High School varsity dance team that won states this last week in multiple categories, as well as having a solo state champion. So congratulations to our Rochester High School students. And that's all I have, President Carlock.
Thank you, Vice President Mangioli. Next up, Mrs. Neubauer.
Thank you, President Carlock. From the Planning Department, the city has kicked off its annual capital improvement plan process for the 2027 to 2032 timeframe, believe it or not. If residents have a capital project of $25,000 or more that they would like to propose as part of this process, a link to the CIP application is available on the city website under the Planning and Economic Development Department's Capital Improvement Plan section. Residents wishing to submit a project are encouraged to contact the responsible departments like DPS, Parks, etc., for assistance in filling out their application. Applications for new projects are due no later than Friday, February 27th of 2026. All applications should be submitted to Joe Snyder, our Chief Financial Officer, either in paper form or electronically at snyderj@rochesterhills.org. And also, if you could share my screen, please. As our wonderful Youth Council representative mentioned, there is a Super Bowl party. Admission is free, but suggested for you to bring in some of the food pantry items that the neighborhood house is looking for. Their preferred items are coffee, beef ramen, olives, pasta sauce, pears or peaches, diced tomatoes, or chili beans. We encourage you all to attend and support. Even if you can't stay for the activity, if you'd like to bring some items that day, that would be very much appreciated. Neighborhood House gets 70% of all of their supplies this time of year from us, and they use that to support the community throughout the entire year. We appreciate everything that the residents have already done for Neighborhood House, but just remember that they do support, I think it was, they said 400 people a day in the months of November and December. So we would appreciate you coming and have a good time. Thank you, and that's all I have for now.
Thank you, Mrs. Neubauer. Not seeing any other council committee reports, we will move on to consent agenda. All matters under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion without discussion. If any council member or citizen requests discussion of an item, it will be removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion. I have a motion by Mrs. Neubauer, seconded by Vice President Mangioli. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes. Next up, Planning and Economic Development. Item 2025-0502, request for preliminary site condominium approval for Camden Crossing condominium, a proposed development of 25 detached single-family residents on approximately 9.36 acres of land located at 430 West Hamlin Road and parcel number 15-22-451-029 on the north side of Hamlin between Livernois and Rochester, zoned R3 one-family residential with the MR mixed residential overlay. Jim Polizics, sorry, Sayre Inc. applicant, and Ms. Rodiger.
Yes, good evening, President Carlock, Vice President Mangioli, Council, Mayor. Thanks so much for having us this evening. We have Mr. Palizois's team here. If you want to go ahead and introduce maybe your team before I get into a brief presentation.
Yep, I'm Jared Kine with Atwell, the project engineers.
I'm Ralph Nunez, land planner and landscape architect for the project. Thank you.
All right, this project has actually been before the city and completely approved a couple years ago, but did expire as they had other projects that were more pressing, and so now they're back and for a new and improved project, with even I think a better project than we had originally. And so as President Carlock indicated, this is close to 10 acres on the north side of Hamlin, right between Crestline and Rochester Road. This did go to the Planning Commission at the end of last year in December and did receive unanimous recommendation for preliminary site condominium approval, the wetlands permit, and the Planning Commission does have the authority and approved the tree removal permit and natural feature setback modification. As you can see, it is essentially surrounded by residential zoning. It is also next to St. Mark's Orthodox Christian Church and Hamlin Elementary, just to the east of the picture there. The plan does have a total of 25 homes, 6 of which are located directly right off of Crestline Street, and then there's 19 homes that are accessed off of a new Cardinal Lane. As I indicated, this was already approved but expired. It's interesting to note, too, that essentially the north portion of the property, which abuts a lot of the existing residential, is essentially untouched and natural. The houses are all focused more towards the south and create a nice open space buffer, preserve the wetlands that's up there, and there also is the ITC corridor, which is that angle that runs kind of through the property, so they can't put structures on that portion as well. So that is something that is part of this plan. And then the wetland use permit is pretty minor. They are affecting roughly 11,000 square feet of wetlands. However, most of that, as you can see in this picture here, is existing wetland that's being modified really to enhance stormwater mitigation. So it will remain natural. There's only 143 square feet that is being impacted of the regulated wetland. And there's also a very small wetland kind of south of the site, which is not regulated, that will be removed. But as noted, the wetland that is there is not really a high quality. It's pretty low quality from our professional ASTI environmental, due to the fact that it's been almost focusing as a yard in the past and has been mowed, and there's been various vegetation that's really not natural to the wetland. So again, leading to the the low quality element of it. This is preliminary, so for the new council members, this will come back. This was a preliminary as a recommendation from Planning Commission to City Council as part of the preliminary condominium and the wetland use permit. After this, if it moves forward, it will go back to the administration and they'll sharpen their pencils, do further engineering, and it will come back for a final condominium, which will go to Planning Commission, and once again to the recommendation of City Council. So this first step really is just to solidify the overall layout of the plan, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Roediger. The only question I had was, being that I live in the subdivision across the street, there is a gas line that runs from our sub across, and I believe it runs into that parcel. Is that indicated somewhere on these plans?
Yes.
That is this kind of angled line that goes right through here and then turns right here on the crest line.
Okay, so it runs like parallel to crest line,
Yes.
like in the driveways. That's that.
Correct, yes. So the north portion, you see it cuts through an angle, then it jogs perpendicular to
Yep.
the crest line, and then it runs down on the east side of crest line all the way to Hamlin.
Okay, and what is the setback from that? Because I believe in our subdivision, we were told 30 or 60 feet, I think, is the 30 feet from the center line of that?
So when they went and installed the second pipeline through there some years ago, an easement was specifically granted covering that area here. So our houses are set at 45 feet off of the street right-of-way, which places it behind where that pipeline easement is, which is 30 feet into the property there.
30 feet, okay. Thank you. Mrs. Neubauer.
Thank you, President Carlock. Welcome back. I just wanted to reiterate a couple of things that Ms. Roediger said, that this has already come back. This has been in front of City Council, the previous City Council. It came back in front of planning. It was approved unanimously both times. We did have quite a bit of neighbors come to speak at Planning Commission, and we had added an additional condition that you speak with Ms. Epledger regarding her property and the trees. It's my understanding that you guys have done that. So thank you for that. Thank you for working with the neighbors and trying to be good neighbors. We appreciate that. And I'd like to move the motion for approval in the packet.
Thank you, Mrs. Neubauer. Vice President Mangioli.
Thank you very much, President Carlock. So I was one of the council members that was here before when you came before. I asked a lot of questions back then. This has not changed significantly since then. So just for the record, what did change?
Okay, yes. So what significantly has changed is there's one less unit than what we had before. If you look on Crestline, there are now 6. We used to have 7 there. One of the reasons for that loss of that unit was to meet the 40% ruling for the preservation of trees. So by moving the distance between 5 and 6, there were additional trees that were able to be saved in that area so that we could meet the 40% rule. What was originally proposed to the north of the gas line easement, that triangular space where the wetland was, is that we had originally had a walkway going up through there, kind of a big green space coming around. At that time, the neighbors didn't want those type of people, other neighbors, walking in their backyard. So everything was moved to the south of that area, and which worked out great because when Eagle came in and looked at it, we have to put a buffer around the whole natural feature system so it doesn't get impacted. So the northern area is basically is going to be left as a no-mow area, probably get once a year get cut down so you don't get some of the invasive weeds and stuff in there, but it's supposed to be left naturalized. As far as landscaping, one of the biggest changes was transportation had an issue with our street trees between the back curb and the sidewalk. They felt that 4 foot wasn't big enough, so those street trees have now moved further back into the yards, but all the number of trees required have been placed there as appropriate. One of the things that I did want to mention, and the council members that were here before, we were one of the first people to come up with our wellness walk, which is the green space between the units, the first 6 on Crestline and the green space on those. One of the reasons for that was it was right around when COVID was hit, and we wanted people to get out and walk. The demographics that we're looking for are those seniors, which I'm moving into, that need to do their steps every day, and it was basically a way for the neighbors to meet each other in the front yard, in the backyard, and be able to get their loop system. Now that I just got out of the hospital 4 weeks ago, I really wish I was living in this neighborhood so I can get my steps in. I don't have to go to the mall. So anyways, that's really been the change. Everything else, we do meet, one of the things is meeting the landscape requirements for the tree preservation. We have done that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, and I'm glad you're healthy and back here with us this evening.
This was my first,
thank you.
Yeah, this is my first day out that I was allowed to drive.
Wow, well, I'm glad it was
So,
for the
yeah.
Rochester Hills City Council.
Trust me, you wouldn't believe how much I wanted to come to this meeting tonight. Okay, so I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. And also, Ms. Roediger, I want to make sure that we let Jason Boughton know, so also Ms. Ballant, because the email that answered a lot of the questions about the retention-detention basin and how that was going to flow, I know that was a big concern by the neighbors that were there. It's also been one from a lot of our subdivisions, whether they're old ones and having new building, or just old ones that have to deal with what was designed for them previously. So thank him for the very detailed answers that he gave us in the email, and I'm glad it's already part of the packet. So thank you very much. That's all I have, President Carlock.
Thank you, Vice President Mongioli. One more thing for this. The detention ponds, and this may be a question for Ms. Ballant, is what is our current requirement for detention pond? Is it for a 25-year event, or is it for a 100-year event?
100.
100-year events, okay. And that should suffice for the size of this property and
And everything else is coming toward it.
yeah.
Yes.
I say, I only ask because, as I said, I'm in the sub across the street, and in 2021, we had those massive,
Storm.
we're built on 10-year ponds,
Right.
and we had 200-year events, and both of our ponds, well, we have 3 ponds, 2 of them flooded, one just drains into one of the other ones.
Right.
But we were taking a ton of water from Hamlin at that time.
And yeah, that came across the one yard, the northern lot, and then there's no rear yard drains because of the older subdivisions.
Yeah.
So everything was coming onto the site. So we're at the low end, so
Yeah.
it's all coming toward us. So it's being taken care of through our engineers.
Right, and it'll all pool up in this area.
Got it. Okay, thank you. I have a motion by Mrs. Neubauer, seconded by Mr. Limburg. And more comments? Mayor?
Sorry to mess that up. You're on such a roll. President Carlock, thank you. Just a couple things. This is obviously has been around for a while, and I want to thank our team for their steady hand in this and kind of working with the developer. And I also want to thank Jim, you and your team. You've been a good developer in our community, and I think people will see this area change, assuming council votes in support. But what they won't see is all that went behind it, right? A project that started bigger, that got better, constant working with the staff, working with the neighbors. This is how development is supposed to happen. And so appreciate that, and appreciate your work with the city. And of course, Ralph, it's good to see you. If to some of the newer council members who may not know, Ralph was involved in one other project in this community you might be familiar with. He was the designer of Innovation Hills, a project that has gotten quite a bit of recognition and success. So welcome back, Ralph. It's always good to see you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Seeing no further comments, I have a motion by Councilwoman Newbauer, seconded by Mr. Limburg. I'll read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby approves the Camden Crossing preliminary site condominium plan based on plans received by the Planning Department on October 30th, 2025, with the following 7 findings and 5 conditions, and as included in the resolution. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. That motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We still have the wetland permit. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
One more. Item number 2025-0503, request for wetland use permit approval to impact approximately 11,427 square feet of wetlands for Camden Crossing condominiums, a proposed development of 25 detached single-family residences on approximately 9.36 acres of land located at 430 West Hamlin Road and parcel number 15-22-451-029 on the north side of Hamlin between Livernois and Rochester, zoned R3 one-family residential with the MR mixed residential overlay. Jim Polyzois, yay, Sayer Inc. applicant. Ms. Rodiger.
I don't have anything to add. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no council comments on this item, I have a motion by Mrs. Newbauer, seconded by Vice President Mangioli. I'll read this draft resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby approves a wetland use permit to permanently impact approximately 11,427 square feet of wetlands to construct the private road, building areas for single-family units, and associated development infrastructure based on plans received by the Planning Department on October 30th, 2025, with the following findings and subject to the following conditions. The 4 findings and 3 conditions will be included in the packet. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Looking forward to having some new neighbors.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next up, public comment for items not on the agenda. I do not have any blue public comment cards and don't see anybody looking to approach the podium. So we will move on to legislative and administrative comments. Mrs. Newbauer.
Thank you, President Carlock. So since we last met, we had the new year, but I also wanted to wish all of the Orthodox friends and families that we have in the city of Rochester Hills a Merry Christmas. They just celebrated that a couple days ago. And also my amazing son turned 16. So you're all on notice that he is now driving. And I know the mayor is going to mention this, but can you share my screen? I'm going to steal it just for 2 seconds, just because I feel like I have to. So we had a ribbon cutting at Edge Fitness, which was super cool because they are showcasing a new red therapy room. They also have a place where you can go in and work out privately and watch a movie in the dark so nobody sees you working out, which is kind of amazing. But I think this is why you should go work out, because we should all look as happy as the mayor is. Yes. But with hard work, I think that we can change our mood a little bit. And then Google thought it was such a cool picture, it made me an edit of you. So now I've got like this picture 5 times on my phone. So I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you, Mayor, for setting such a good fitness example. And that's all I have right now.
Thank you, Ms. Newbauer. I think you should set that so that when mayor calls, that's the picture that pops up on your phone.
I think so. Oh, I have some other ones too, so we'll see.
I'm not seeing any other city council comments. I'll turn it over to the mayor.
Thank you, President Carlock. I just wanted to try and look at my team out there. As Ms. Newbauer said, thank you for me setting such a good fitness example to get the the genuine reaction of my teams as they run up here to hand me a Diet Coke. Thank you, and Happy New Year to everyone. If you could please share my screen. It's Miss Wisprin or Miss Bowen who's sharing the screen tonight. But yes, a couple things. It'll be quick announcements tonight. Obviously, if there is ever a time where we are at 9.5 out of 10 as opposed to 10, it's right around the holidays after we get through all of the activities. But really want to thank the team as we put together, and we'll have some year-end reports for council that we'll be presenting in the upcoming weeks and months, but really a fantastic year for the city and already off to a pretty busy start. Of course, as Ms. Vice President Mangioli mentioned, we've had some winter weather, and of course the teams have been out and really been on top of that, and Tracy and her team have done a great job, and we thank them because often when we huddle down and hibernate, it's exactly the time that they go out, and it seems like this year so far it's been every Saturday, Sunday, or holiday that it's been falling on, which means it's both inconvenient and expensive, but it takes a great team, and I'm really proud of them for doing that. A couple things to just mention. We are now in the semi-quincentennial of the United States birth, at least the signing of the Declaration of Independence. We are going to have all sorts of events and activities throughout this year. We'll be joining with many partners along the way, but I wanted to mention two quick ones. The first was one that we celebrated just yesterday over at the library in partnership with the Daughters of the American Revolution. We unveiled a really cool traveling exhibit. We're one of only 10 places in the state of Michigan that's going to see this traveling exhibit called the American Revolution Experience. And it's only here for a few more days to the 17th. So for those of you watching at home looking for something to do, this is a great to pop into the library. Of course, it doesn't cost anything to get in the library. Head up to the second floor and you will see this traveling experience. There's multiple kiosks. We thank the Daughters of the American Revolution, our very own museum team, of course led by Pat McKay, and the museum or the library for hosting us. But really cool event, and like I said, if you go onto the city's webpage, you'll see all the events that we have coming up, about 250, about the America 250, and many of them more are coming. One additional one is that we participated with U.S. Conference of Mayors, the National Endowment for the Arts, in a poster contest. We recall at the end of the year we had a call out for all of our community artists to submit their to put in their submissions, and this one was selected. It will be displayed in Washington, D.C. Over the meeting that the Conference of Mayors will have, and then all throughout the D.C. area through the next year. And I'm just going to ask a random question. If you created this poster, could you please raise your hand? Look at that. There's the winner of our poster contest. Emma Bowen created this poster, and didn't, of course, know that I was going to say that, but we congratulate you, Emma. Great job, and your work will represent our city in Washington, D.C. Over the next 365 days, so great job with that. As was mentioned, you will notice I used a much more kind picture of Councilwoman Neubauer, who is, of course, at the Edge Fitness Club. We do want to recognize that just after a brief break of about 2 weeks, we're already back to our first ribbon cuttings of the year. We have another one, I think, on Wednesday, and, of course, the businesses continue to grow and thrive in Rochester Hills. We appreciate Edge's continued investment. This was a new investment in our community for this, as mentioned, this infrared room, which is just the second. I think they've got 60 or 80 stores or something like that. This is just the second one that they're doing nationwide. So again, when they look across the nation, that's the founder there that's standing with the Councilman Neubauer. They look at our metrics pop off the charts, and when they do something and want to do something new nationwide, as we often know, they choose Rochester Hills, and we're really grateful for that. My podcast, we had an interesting guest last week. Of course, last month we had the Voice of Christmas. Of course, in December was Jay Towers, and you might not recognize that gentleman, but he's a Rochester Hills resident. His name is Segi Ishu, and he is a part of the group Straight No Chaser, which is one of the most, it's like Pentatonics and then Straight No Chaser in terms of all-time sales of a cappella groups. Their video or their YouTube had 26 million views of their Christmas song. They went viral. He is a full-time performer. and performs all over the country with his group Straight No Chaser, but on the Fallon Show, all sorts of things. Anyway, was on the podcast last week, and we have a pretty cool intro that we've got coming to this. It's kind of fun. We're excited about it. This should be released later this week. So recognize that the podcast is another way to find out about Rochester Hills residents doing some great things in the greater Rochester community. So we appreciate that. And again, just a quick announcement of some other great things coming up. A group that never really rests, our parks team. They've got outdoor engagements coming up left and right, including one this Friday. We've got a half-day mini camp on Friday and one coming up in February, as well as Snow Fort and Campfire Project coming up next Monday. So if you're looking for something fun to do, these usually sell out. But a great opportunity to get out. Of course, Monday is Martin Luther King Day, so most places will be closed, schools will be off. So if you're a parent at home going, what are we going to do? Here's a great opportunity to get involved in your community, have some fun along the way. We thank our parks team, and particularly our outdoor engagement folks, for keeping the calendar full 12 months out of the year. That's all for tonight.
Thank you, Mayor.
I did just want to add one thing. The founder of Edge Fitness had made a statement to me that he lives out of a hotel every day of the year, and that after doing the ribbon cutting and seeing Rochester Hills, this is the only place he's ever considered actually purchasing a home. So it's a big credit to Rochester Hills for that. So just wanted to, so you didn't chase him away with what you were doing. All right, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you all. That concludes legislative and administrative comments. Next up, attorney's report. Mr. Christ.
Thank you, President Carlock. No legal report tonight.
Thank you. New business, item number 2026-0003, request for purchase authorization, Parks, blanket purchase order contract for 2026 street tree planting in the amount not to exceed $210,000, Michigan Lawn Maintenance, Inc., DBA Sherman Nursery Farms, Columbus, Michigan. Mr. Elward.
Good evening, President Carlock, Vice President Mangioli, City Council, Mayor Barnett. Happy New Year, by the way, everyone. And this is a pretty regular request. And for the new council members, we have a street tree planting program that is funded by what we call the Tree Fund. There is a fund where essentially developers, almost similar to what you saw just a little bit ago, put into the tree fund on trees they have to cut down that they can't essentially replant once they're above that 40%. You heard them really, pushing to get to that 40%, and that helps that funds this program 100%. And so what we do every year is we have 2 tree planting programs. This is the one before you tonight is the larger one, where they go out and the contractor plants street trees in the road right away in front of residents' homes that desire them. And so this is the request to renew that contract with Sherman Nursery, who we've been with for several years. And with that, if there's any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Elward. I am actually a recipient of a street tree, actually 2. My first one was damaged by the ice storm a few months ago, so we took that one down and got a new one put in. My question for you is, about how many trees does $210,000 get the residents of Rochester Hills?
Right, it's a little bit variable depending on the price, but it's usually about 400-ish, 350 to 400-ish.
Okay, and do we usually get 400 requests?
Last year we had 362.
Okay.
And so we're always looking for more planting sites. That's actually often the limiting factor in this, is that it's hard to convince people that they want a free tree in their front yard, essentially. So.
Right. Well, I can say with the millions of viewers we get from the city of Rochester Hills, reach out to the Parks Department and get your free street tree. They will come, mark it, you tell them exactly where you want it within the right of way, and they'll come and plant it. And
and we're responsible for the maintenance and the trimming, and on a 5-year cycle, we go through and inspect and do all that and make sure it's going in the way it's supposed to. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Elward. Mr. Skelsey.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because of the wonderful deer that we have in Rochester Hills, how do you protect the trees, and how big are the trees? Are they like little saplings?
Yes, good question. Yeah, and so the first question, we actually have tree guards for these because they do like the younger bark, but they're essentially, they're not seedlings. They're 10 feet-ish. They're basically 2-inch DBH diameter breast height, essentially. So they're not little samplings, and it depends on the type of tree of the exact height and the width, but they're good-sized trees. They're not little saplings, and that's that particular height and diameter is the best chance for taking well and growing well and healthy the way, because that's what we choose, that particular size, instead of going a little larger or a little smaller. So, yep.
Seeing no further comments, I have a motion.
I don't think I answered his second question. I apologize.
Go ahead.
I think you asked about the deer too. And so we do actually have a guard that we put on the trees for a few years on that. I answered part of it, but not the whole thing. I'm sorry.
I have a motion by Mrs. Neubauer, seconded by Vice President Mangioli. I'll read the resolution, make sure it's the right one. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby authorizes a blanket purchase order contract for 2026 street tree planting to Michigan Lawn Maintenance, Inc., DBA Sherman Nursery Farms, Columbus, Michigan, in the amount not to exceed $210,000, and further authorizes the procurement manager to execute an agreement on behalf of the city. Further resolved that the city's acceptance of the proposal and approval of the award of a contract shall be contingent and conditioned upon the parties' entry into and execution of a written agreement acceptable to the city. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Elwert. Next up, item 2026-0001, request for purchase authorization fire, waiver of section 2-273B of the purchasing ordinance, approval of contract blanket purchase order for emergency medical and fire cost recovery billing services in the amount not to exceed $994,190 through December 9th, 2029, EMS Management Consultants, Inc., Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Captain Matz.
Good evening, President Carlack, Vice President Mangioli, City Council, Mayor Barnett. Before you tonight is a request to authorize a 4-year contract for emergency medical and fire billing services. In 2025 alone, the fire department responded to over 7,500 medical instances. While our first priority is patient care, the behind-the-scenes work, billing, HIPAA compliance, and data security requires specialized expertise. To get the best value, we've partnered with the City of Warren on a joint request for proposal. By combining our volumes, we secured much more competitive pricing than we had if we had gone alone. Out of the 5 proposals, the committee selected EMS Management and Consultants, or EMSMC, for 3 primary reasons. Number 1, significant savings. We are lowering our collection fee from 5.2% to 3.95%. Number 2, operational continuity. EMSMC recently merged with Acumed, our former billing company, who had been our partner for more than a decade, and this means that we keep our established workflows and familiar contacts. Number 3, high security. They are an SOC1 and SOC2 certified with local office in Riverview, ensuring our residents' data is handled with the highest level of protection and encryption. Funding is already accounted for in the 2026 through 2029 budgets. We are also requesting a waiver for the standard 3-year contract limit to lock in this valuable 4-year term. We ask for your authorization for this contract in the amount not to exceed $994,190, and I am happy to answer any questions you may have this evening.
Thank you very much. Vice President Mangioli has some questions.
Yes, thank you, President Carlack. More comments than questions, because I've been my family has been the recipient of your emergency care as well as the billing. It was all done very professionally and in appropriate time. So thank you very much for making sure that our residents stay safe and that when they need your services, it's affordable for them as well. So thank you for doing that. The contract with Warren, do we have, maybe you don't have it, but maybe it's a question for the purchasing department. How many other times do we partner with other cities Is this the only one like this that the fire department has?
I don't have the exact number, but I know we've worked with Warren, Farmington Hills, and several other cities on several other contracts throughout our years of service. So it's a very common practice to my understanding,
Yes,
but
well-
I don't have the exact number of
Okay,
contracts.
and I thank you very much, again, for being financially prudent and locking in the contract for 4 years to make sure that we get the cost savings for an extended period of time. So thank you very much, and with that, President Carlock, I move the resolution in our packet.
Thank you. I have a motion by Vice President Mangioli, seconded by Councilwoman Newbauer. Seeing no further comments, resolution resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby waives Section 2-273B, the requirement for long-term contracts under Section 2-281, which allows City Council the authority to waive any regulation or procedure pertaining to purchasing, deeming it to be in the best interest of the city. Further resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby authorizes a contract blanket purchase order for emergency, medical, and fire cost recovery billing services to EMS Management Consultants, Inc., Winston-Salem, North Carolina, in the amount not to exceed $994,190 through December 9th, 2029, and further authorizes the procurement manager to execute an agreement on behalf of the city. Further resolved that the city's acceptance of the proposal and approval of the award of a contract shall be contingent and conditioned upon the parties' entry into and execution of a written agreement acceptable to the city. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Captain.
Have a great evening.
Thanks, you too. Next up, 2026-0002, request for purchase authorization, DPS Garage, blanket purchase order for water meters and equipment in the amount not to exceed $660,000 through December 31st, 2026. ETNA Supply Company, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Ms. Ballant.
Good evening, Council President Carlock, Vice President Mangioli, City Council, and Mayor Barnett. I'm here this evening to request your approval to issue a blanket purchase order to Aetna Supply Company for the purchase of water meters and associated equipment. This request is brought forward to you annually to support our meter division. We are currently replacing MXUs that are 20 years and older. That's a device that is placed on outside the home that reads the meters. And we are also focusing on the replacement of 3/4-inch meters this year. Just to give you a little background of where we stand, we are just now seeing like the impacts of COVID kind of level out. So our purchases over the last couple of years have kind of gone up and down, but we've kind of maintained the same request for the blanket purchase order. And we think by probably next year, 27, our like purchases will be kind of more level as they were maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So with that, please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. Are these meters for residences?
They're all our meters, the area maintenance meters, residential, commercial. So from the 5As up to the large meters for the hospitals. So all meters, so 33,000 meters that we maintain because we have about 25,000 for like domestic use and then the AM meters.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any comments. I have a motion by Vice President Mangioli, seconded by Councilwoman Newbauer. I'll read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby authorizes a blanket purchase order for water meters and equipment to Aetna Supply Company, Grand Rapids, Michigan, in the amount not to exceed $660,000 through December 31st, 2026. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, 2025-0510, request for consideration of engineer's report for the proposed Special Assessment District SAD paving project of Dunning Road. Ms. Ballant, Ms. Taylor, and Ms. Somerville.
Thank you. I'm here with Lori Taylor and Karen Somerville with Assessing. We are here this evening to discuss a proposed SAD project for the paving of Dunning Road east of Eastwood. This project was brought forward to you for consideration on December 1st, 2025, but was postponed for further discussion. Can I have the map? I have a map here that kind of gives you kind of a good idea of the area. It's a little bit hard to see. So on the north side, we have Auburn Road. On the west side, we have Adams. And then Eastwood is the farthest east, north-south road, and Dunning is the road that goes east-west, south of Auburn. And can you, if you can see the yellow hash part, that is the proposed SAD area. Probably should have done that in darker color, I apologize. But so just to give you an idea of the area that we're talking about. This project began in 2024 when residents submitted a formal petition to City Council that had 60% plus one resident support for the paving project. The cost and scope of work is outlined in the engineer's report dated December 1st, 2025. In general, the project includes a paving of approximately 440 feet of Dunning, which includes 6-inch HMA along with curb and gutter. Per the SAD policy, there is a shared cost between the property owners and the city. Currently, the residents are capped at about approximately $15,700 per buildable lot, totaling $141,000. The remaining cost to pave this portion of Dunning is the responsibility of the city and is estimated to be around $342,000. If City Council decides to proceed with the project, you would formally accept the engineer's report dated December 1st, 2025, and schedule a public hearing regarding the project. Should City Council decide not to proceed with the project, a resolution could be passed to terminate the SAD. So with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Ballant. We do have one public comment on this item. Ms. McCurry? McCurry.
I'm the
Yep.
only resident that decided to show tonight. I'm one of 9 houses on the end of that road. You still have to go dirt to get out of the sub. I see on your agenda here, the money that you would have to pay to have your water meters replaced, you could do it from paving here. There's no point to do just 9 houses. I mean, that's crazy. $342,000 could pay for your water meters. Heck, you could put it towards the fire. Anything. Street lights on Auburn. Troy's got street lights. I mean, granted, they're rusted, but I mean, we could put street lights on Auburn. There's no reason to pave unless you're going to pave the whole doggone subdivision, because you're going to bring big trucks down there, wreck all the rest of the roads, put everybody out. And I talked to the consumer's gas guy. The whole main has to be replaced on that end of the street. That's big money. And you got 9 houses, you're gonna do all that just, I mean, what if something happens in that gas main and a house blows up? I mean, God forbid it could happen. It's just ludicrous. So I am not for it. I think you have a lot better things you could spend your money on. I know I do. In these economic times, I'm paying $4,600 a year in taxes. According to these gals, it would go up. I'd have to put away $500 a month on a fixed income. I'm on Social Security. I mean, it's crazy. I've done my thing. I don't approve.
Thank you, Ms. McCurry. We do have some council comments. First up, Ms. Neubauer.
Thank you, President Carlock. Thank you, Ms. McCurry, for coming to this meeting and coming to the last meeting. I believe you were there as well, and engaging in the process and letting your voice be heard. I tend to agree with Ms. McCurry because the cost of the $342,000 that it would take for the city, even though the residents are capped, we are not capped. And because you have, it goes as she stated, as Ms. McCurry stated, you would have to go back on dirt road. So unless the residents came to us with a plan to pave everything, which would end up ultimately saving us per mile, per foot on how to pave that area, it's not a good use of our resources right now. So, and there's also not a need. I know there was another project that we did approve, but there were some major erosion issues on that road and water issues on that road, so it needed to be done. It was more of a necessity rather than something that could be deemed more of a cosmetic change. So with that, I would like to move that we choose not to proceed with the SAD project of paving Dunning Road. I do want to put on the record that it's not based on any problem with the engineer's report. It's just we don't want to move forward with the proposal itself.
Thank you, Ms. Neubauer. I have a second by Vice President Mangioli. So let me read something and tell me if this is what you were thinking. You know, something that we choose not to proceed with the proposed paving project of Dunning Road east of Eastwood Drive.
That's correct.
Got it. Thank you. So I have a motion by Ms. Neubauer, seconded by Vice President Mangioli. Did you want to make comments? So I'll read a resolution into the record here. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council, on behalf of the City of Rochester Hills, hereby chooses not to proceed with the proposed paving of Dunning Road east of Eastwood Drive. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, item 2026-0004, request for approval of the settlement agreement between the City of Rochester Hills and the Michigan Association of Firefighters, Local 50. Ms. Insana and Chief Gary.
Good evening, President Carlock, Vice President Mangioli, Mayor, and members of Council. I am pleased to present for your approval the tentative agreement between the City of Rochester Hills and the Michigan Association of Firefighters, MAF, Local 50. This agreement, if approved, will be effective for a 4-year period, January 1st of 2025 through December 31st of 2028. This agreement is a result of a comprehensive bargaining process and follows our closed session discussion on December 15th, 2025. A central priority was maintaining fiscal and internal consistency while ensuring the city remains competitive with external market competitors. To achieve this, all wage increases throughout the 4-year term align with our other bargaining units, union and non-union personnel, ensuring we can retain the high-quality staff our community expects while maintaining citywide parity. I would like to extend my gratitude to both the city's bargaining team and union representatives for their professionalism and their shared commitment to finding common ground throughout negotiations. Since the union has officially ratified the contract, the recommendation tonight is that City Council approve the 4-year agreement between Rochester Hills and MAF Local 50. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Insana. Vice President Mangioli.
Thank you very much, President Carlock. Congratulations. And then also to the fire department, thank you. It's glad to see that this has been negotiated. Everything was, everybody agreed relatively easily to the changes in the terms, and there was no consternation in our community as a result of a contract negotiation. So thank you very much. Please thank the firefighters that are part of this union for their cooperation with us, and we look forward to continuing to keep our city safe because of their great work. And with that, I move the resolution in our packet.
Thank you, Ms. Mangioli. I have a motion by Ms. Mangioli, seconded by Mr. Limburg. Seeing no further council comments, resolved that the City Council hereby grants approval of the settlement agreement for the above contract term. Whereas negotiations between the City of Rochester Hills and MAF Local 50 have resulted in a tentative 4-year agreement for the period of January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2028. Resolved that the City Council hereby grants approval of the settlement agreement for the above contract term. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you for all the hard work on this.
Thank you.
Next up, item 2026-0005, Request for approval of the settlement agreement between the City of Rochester Hills and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFSCME, Local 1917.28. Ms. Insana.
Thank you. Good evening, and obviously this has been a very good start to the new year, so I am happy again to request City Council's approval of a tentative agreement between the City of Rochester Hills and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFSCME 1917. This agreement, if approved, will be effective for a 3-year term from January 1st, 2026 through December 31st of 2028. This agreement is a product of a collaborative bargaining process and thorough market analysis. Following our closed session on December 15th of 2025, I am pleased to report that the union membership has ratified the terms presented. To maintain internal equity and fiscal stability, the wage structure for all 3 years mirrors the standards established for our employee groups, union and non-union. This unified approach ensures citywide parity while providing the competitive edge necessary to recruit and retain professional leadership. I'd like to acknowledge the hard work of the city's negotiation team, Joe Snyder, Celeste Mansour, and our Labor Council, Beth Young. I also want to thank the union negotiation team for their collaborative efforts, and their commitment to finding common ground was essential in achieving this positive outcome. So therefore, the recommendation tonight is that City Council approve the terms of this 3-year tentative agreement between Rochester Hills and AFSCME Local 1917. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Insana. I see no council comments. I have a motion by Ms. Neubauer, seconded by Vice President Mangioli. I'll read the resolution. Whereas negotiations between the City of Rochester Hills and AFSCME Local 1917.28 have resulted in a tentative 3-year agreement for the period of January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2028. Resolved that the City Council hereby grants approval of the settlement agreement for the above contract term. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that brings us to Councilwoman Neubauer's favorite part of the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
I see no other business before the City Council of Rochester Hills at this time. I have a motion by Ms. Neubauer, seconded by Vice President Mangioli. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, next regular City Council meeting will be January 26th, 2026 at 7 p.m. right here in the City Hall Auditorium. Have a great evening.